Hello everyone, welcome to class 9 group. Today I will give you some guidance about your new syllabus of class 9 English syllabus. This year you are having two books, one is Beehive and one is Moments. And Beehive consists of chapters and Moments consist of stories. In Beehive you will study along with the chapters, there are poetries. The chapter today we are going to start is the fun they had made. The chapter is from Beehive and it is written by Isaac Asimov. And in this, the author of the chapter, first I will tell you about author. Sir Isaac Asimov is an American writer. He was famous for science fiction and he has edited more than 500 books. In this chapter, the main characters are Margie, Tommy, Margie's cousin, county inspector and mechanical teacher, and Mrs. Jones is Margie's mother. Okay? In this chapter, we are going to study about the education. What was the pattern of education in the past, in the present, and what will be in the future? In the past, children were going to ashrams, they were going to gurukuls, and the students were taught by the teachers, but there were not any books. But in the present, we are having textbooks, copies, pens, and we are writing when teacher is teaching in the classroom. But what will be in the future? That is only mentioned in the chapter. This chapter is written in the future. The story is written in the future. Okay. Now there will be comparison between the present day education and in the future. The children will just think about what was the past, means how the students were getting education in the past. And for them it will be very funny that nowadays students are studying with the books. And in the future they will think how we were studying about with the books, and they will get computers, they will get a virtual classroom, they will get robotic teachers, and that is already mentioned in the front page of the chapter, and you can see in the picture there is learning through computers, virtual classroom, and there is robotic teacher and moving the text that is on the screen. Okay. Now before starting this chapter, all the students please take out your pencils and I will give meanings of the words, difficult words that will come in the chapter, and already some meanings are given in the chapter. But still, whatever the tough words are given will come. I will give you the meaning and you have to write it. Okay? Now we are going to start the chapter, the fun they had. The story we shall read is set in the future, when books and schools as we now know them will perhaps not exist. In the future, it means that in future there will not be any books. How will children study them? The diagram below may give you some ideas. In the diagram you can see here the child is sitting in the computer desktop, and there is one classroom, there is one robotic teacher, and there is one desktop on that moving e-text is there. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. Margie was writing a diary, and in that diary, on the page headed 17 May 2157, she wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." As a habit, she was also writing a diary, and in the diary on the date 17th May 2157, she has written one line that Tommy found a real book means real book, whatever we are having, that is a real book. And in the future, the child, Tommy got a real book, and that is mentioned by Margie in her own diary. Got it? Now it was a very old book. Book was old. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. When Tommy got the book, then Margie just remembered the words of her grandfather. He has once said that when grandfather was a child, he was taught by books, and there were all story books, and the pages, there were something printed on the paper. They were having real books. They turned the pages, means now Tommy and Margie, they have turned the pages. which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. Now here, what is mentioned? When they turn the pages, after many years the books become old. You have also seen the books, after so many years the change, when you purchase a new book, the paper is very fresh and white, and after so many years the color is changed, it becomes dull, it becomes yellowish. Same thing, as it was an old book, the paper was changed into a little bit yellowish, and crinkly means the paper was having scratches, there were folds and the lines. If you fold it, definitely it is going to break. Means it was looking crinkly. And it was awfully funny to read. It was funny for them that the words were sticked on the letters were printed on the paper. And it was funny for these children because they were studying by computer, they were having digital classroom, virtual classroom, and the words were on the screen. And it was funny for them that the previous children were studying through a book where the words were printed on a paper. And then they turned back to the page before. It had the same word on it that it had when they read it the first time. Then they were one by one turning the pages. When again they have turned the previous page, they looked the same word was printed on the paper. It was again funny for them, means words were stick to the paper, but on the screen the words are continuously changing, same word is not repeated. That was totally funny for them. Now the next para 2, said Tommy, what a waste. For Tommy it was a waste thing. He thought, what waste thing people were doing. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away. Means after reading one book, that book is useless. You can say it will be thrown. After completing one session, that book is sometimes useless for us because once we have read it. But in the future, or for them, they were having television screen, and there was no need to throw anything. And all the things were, or so many words or so many books were inside the computer. I guess our television screen must have had 1 million books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. Now there is a comparison. Tommy and Margie, they started comparing what is the difference here on the television screen and in the books. In the books, after reading once, it is thrown, it becomes useless. But in the computer screen, there are millions of words, millions of books are in there. On the computer screen they can see, and there are so many chapters. So whatever material is there, that can be seen once again, and there is no need to throw any material. Same with mine, said Margie. Margie also, whatever Tommy said, she was also thinking same thing, that it is waste to have a book. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. The age of Margie was 11 years and Tommy was as he was 30. Tommy was more experienced and he has seen more telebooks, but Margie has seen little bit less books than Tommy. She said, where did you find it? Now she asked Tommy, where did you find it? Then Tommy said, in my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. He said, he pointed without looking means he got the book in the attic. What's it about? Then she asked, what's it about? Means, then he said, Tommy said, that book is about the school. Margie was scornful. Scornful means hateful. And already meaning is given. Contempt is showing you think something is worthless. Means that is Maggie actually disliked school. She was hating school. What's there to write about school? I hate school. She said she didn't like school. Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. Means she was not liking school. and she thought, what is the need to write about the school in a book? The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. Now in the classroom, wherever they were studying, in their virtual classroom, there was a mechanical teacher, and he was continuously giving test after test, geography test to Margie, and she was doing worse and worse, and she was not improving. She was getting very less marks, or you can say leave, and that until her mother had shaken her head circle, and mother was very upset, mother was very sad, and she sent for county inspector. She called county inspector to just check what is the problem in the geography, why the child is getting, or why the Margie is getting less marks in. Paragraph 4. He was a round little man with a red face. County inspector was having a round little face, and he was having a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He was having a box in which there were dials and wires. He smiled at Margie, and he has given an apple to Margie. Then took the teacher apart, and he has moved the teacher away from Margie. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, and Margie was thinking that the county inspector will not be able to correct that robotic teacher. But Margie had hoped he would not have how to put it together again, but he knew how all right, and after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. Again the machine was corrected, and what she has observed, it was having a large and black and ugly face. There was a big screen on which again there were lessons, there were questions of geography, and questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. For Margie, the questions were not very tough, or she was not like that, she was not liking. The part Margie hated almost was the slot where she had to put homework and the test paper. Means the space where she has to put her homework, where she has to give the test papers, write the answers, or click the answers. She always had to write them out in a punch code. Means she has to press the button they made her learn, and she was 6 years old. At the age of 6 years, she has to give as many tests, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. That time, that teacher, she was continuously giving tests, and she was getting less marks, and that she did not like. Means again, you try to understand. Means when the county inspector tried to correct it, and he has first given an apple to Margie. She was busy in the apple, and she thought that the county inspector will not be able to correct the geography sector, but it was corrected, and she didn't like the part where she has to give the test, and she was scoring very less marks. Okay, and at the age of 6 only she was giving so many tests. Now paragraph 5. The inspector had smiled after he had finished and patted Margie's head. After correcting the machine geography sector, the inspector smiled. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault. There was no fault of girl. Actually, Mrs. Jones, I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick." Actually, what was the problem? According to the age, their tests are conducted, and according to the age, it was little bit geared up, means of high level, but the child was of only 6 years. Because of that, the test was very tough for her. Those things happen sometimes. Sometimes it happens in the machine. Paragraph 5. The inspector had smiled after he had finished and patted Margie's head. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory," and he patted Margie's head again. Here in this paragraph, the inspector here is smiled at the girl and he patted Margie's head. And he said to mother, as it was not the fault of Margie as she was getting less marks. Actually, the problem was with the machine. Her age was only 10 years and machine was geared up to more age, means maybe 11, 12 years old. According to that test, the questions may be tough for girl, so that's why she was getting less marks. And again, he has slowed it down according to the age level of 10 years. And the overall pattern was the county inspector told mother that her progress is okay, means satisfactory, whatever she has been doing or that was okay. Only the problem was with the machine. The questions were of high level. Okay. Now, next para, Margie was disappointed. Now, Margie was very upset. She had been hoping they would have taken the teacher away altogether. She thought that this county inspector will not be able to correct it and he will move this machine, or geography sector, there will not be any need to study this geography subject. They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had planned out completely. She was remembering, she just recalled once it happened with Tommy. When Tommy was not able to do history, that time history sector was wiped out and for correction it took 1 month and it was taken away. She also thought as she was getting less marks, county inspector will not be able to correct it and it will be moved and there will not be any need to study geography. Same thing already has happened with Tommy. She also hoped that this is going to happen with geography also. So she said to Tommy, why would anyone write about school? Now she is asking to Tommy, why would anyone write about school? What is interesting in the school? Why anyone will write about school in the book? Tommy looked at her with very superior eyes. Now Tommy was of 13 years and he thinks that his knowledge is more than Margie, and with his superiority he just looks at her. Because it's not our kind of school, stupid. He is knowing more. He says to Margie, stupid, you don't know about the school and it's not our kind of school. This is the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Means he is talking about the school that in the past, hundreds years back, there were schools. He added loftily, pronouncing the word carefully, centuries ago. Means he is talking about centuries ago. He says that he is feeling that he is more superior, he knows more than Margie. Margie is not knowing about the past schools and he is knowing the present school in that time, what were the conditions of schools and previous schools. That's why he says centuries ago, means hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the schools were different and the girl is not knowing about that. And he is so much interested to tell her about the school. Margie was hurt. Well, I don't know what kind of school they had all that time. She was very upset and she said, I don't know what type of schools were earlier. She read the book over his shoulder for a while. She read it and then said, anyway, they had a teacher, means they had at least they were having a teacher. Now, boy says, means Tommy said here, sure they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher, it was a man. Now, in their opinion, who is the regular teacher? Robotic teacher is the regular teacher. And they said, here they are talking about, they had a teacher, means they here, in the past, the children were having a teacher and it was a man. It was a human being who was teaching in the class. But Tommy's time, in Margie's time, they were having a robotic teacher. That's why they are telling a regular teacher as a robotic teacher. A man, how could a man be a teacher? Now Margie asked, how can a man be a teacher or a human being can teach? Well, he just told the boys and girls things and gave them homework and asked them questions. Now again Tommy is explaining to Margie. He says, he just told the boys and girls, teacher was teaching in the class, boys and girls, and he used to give them homework and he was asking questions to the children in the classroom. A man isn't smart enough. Now again, Margie's question, a man is not that much smart as a robotic teacher. Sure he is. My father knows as much as my teacher. Then Tommy says, sure, definitely a man is smart and his knowledge is more. My father means Tommy's father was having knowledge as equal to as his teacher. He knows almost as much as I bet. Then he says my father knows as much as I bet means here he can bet that his father is knowing equal to the teacher. That. Now Margie was not ready to fight in the dispute, disagree with her. She was only listening whatever Tommy was explaining. She said, I wouldn't want a strange man in my house to teach me. Now she said that she is not willing to have a strange man to teach in the house. Tommy screamed with laughter. Tommy just laughed. You don't know much, Margie. The teachers didn't live in the house. They had a special building and all the kids went there. Now Tommy screamed with laughter. He just screamed. He was thinking that Margie is not knowing, and he said, you don't know much. You are actually not knowing about the teacher. The teachers were not coming to the house. The teachers didn't live in the house. They had a special building. There was a special building where the teacher was there and the children used to go there. Means definitely it was a school where the teachers were coming and all the students were going to get education. And all the kids learned the same thing. And in the school, when the teacher was teaching, there were so many boys and the girls, and the teacher used to teach the students. Same thing was taught in the classroom. Sure, if they were the same age, definitely the age, if the teacher is teaching all the students, the age of all the students will be same. But my mother says the teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl it teaches, and that each kind has to be taught differently. But again he says, my mother says that teacher had to be adjusted according to the student, according to the intelligence, according to the mind of the child, because in the classroom there are so many students and the level of understanding is different of each boy and girl. After teaching, some students easily get the subject, but there are some students, those who are they take little bit more time for understanding. Then teacher has to make them understand in a different way. But the topic is same, but the level of understanding is different. That's why he says that my mother says the teacher had to be adjusted according to the classroom, according to the boy or a girl. Just the same they didn't go do it that way then. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the book. Same thing, just the same they didn't do it that way then. If the child is not liking the thing, he is not going to read it. And if you don't like, no need to read it. I didn't say I didn't like it, Margie said quickly. Then Margie says, I didn't say that I didn't like me. They are talking about geography. I didn't say that I don't like this. She wanted to read about those funny schools. Now, Margie is willing to know about the funny schools. Means now she is thinking that school was funny where the teacher was teaching in the classroom and all the students sit in the class and one teacher is teaching same topic to all the students. They weren't even half finished then Margie's mother called Margie school. Now when both the children, Margie and Tommy, when the discussion was going on, that time, when the half discussion was finished, that time mother called Margie and she said, Margie, and then she reminded that it was the time of school. Margie looked up, not yet, Mama. Now, said Mrs. Jones, and it's probably time for Tommy too. Then she said, not yet, Mama. Then she said, definitely it is time for Tommy also. Both will get. It is the time for class and you are having school now. Margie said to Tommy, can I read the book some more with you after school? Now she was interested to read about the schools and she asked Tommy, can she read the book after some time, after their school time? Maybe, he said nonchalantly. He walked away whistling the dusty old book tucked beneath his arm. And beneath his arm, he just took that book and he said, maybe means after reading Tommy, then only Margie will get chance to read the book and he is more interested to read from that book. Margie went into the schoolroom. It was right next to her bedroom. And in their same house, their schoolroom was there, means where Margie was getting classes, and the mechanical teacher was on, means it was mechanical teacher has already started its lecture and waiting for her. It was always on at the same time every day except Saturday and Sunday. Means every time there was a fixed time where they were having classes, except Saturdays and Sunday the regular classes were there, and the children has to attend the class, and that classroom was nearby their bedroom or in the same house. This class was there, that is virtual class was there. And only except Saturday and Sunday there were classes, because her mother said little girls learn better if they learned at regular hours. Now except Saturday, Sunday they had to attend every day, and regular studies was needed. Mother always told the children, or the mother used to say Margie that little girls learn better if they are regularly getting education or regularly sitting for the classes and reading. The screen was lit up when the computer was on or the screen was on, then it lit up and it said, today's arithmetic lesson is on the addition of proper fraction, and on that day particular chapter was addition of fraction. Please insert yesterday's homework in the proper slot. And again there was option of inserting homework in the proper slot. There was a space where they have to put their homework. Then come to paragraph 10. Margie did so with a sigh. She was thinking about the old school they had when her grandfather's grandfather was a little boy. Margie did so with a sigh, with a deep breath. He just put her homework, and now she was thinking about the previous school which was described by her grandfather's grandfather. When grandfather was a little boy, his grandfather's grandfather has already explained about the school, and now she was thinking about the previous schools. All the kids from the whole neighborhood came laughing and shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom. All the kids, all these children who were going to school from the whole neighborhood, everybody was going to the same building, same school, and from neighborhood they used to go. They were laughing, shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the classroom, going home together at the end of the day. After getting the class, they were finishing the chapter and they were enjoying returning back to school, their home. They learned the same things, so they could help one another with the homework and talk about it. As everybody was coming in the class, they were enjoying also, they were making noise also, and after finishing the chapter, they used to move home. Means after school hours, they were returning home. On the way, they must be talking about their homework. Now also, whenever you leave school, just everybody is talking, gossiping, and they leave the place and they board the bus and they are just talking about the lectures. Same condition was in the previous school. Means according to them. And the teachers were people, and the teachers were not the robotic teachers, they were the people. The mechanical teacher was flashing on the screen when we add fractions 1/2 and 1/4. And she started thinking, after putting the homework, she started thinking, and then there was a flash on the computer screen. When we add 1/2 and 1/4, what will be the result? This was continuously on the screen. Margie was thinking about how the kids must have loved it in the old days. She was thinking about the fun they had. Margie, now she was thinking about the previous school and their school. They were in the classroom, and the previous school, the children were getting education together. And she was just thinking that they were enjoying more, they had more fun, and that's why the chapter's name is The Fun They Had. Okay, means now I will tell again the whole summary of the chapter. And this chapter, Tommy and Margie are the main two characters. Tommy got a book, and then he was telling about this book to Margie, and Margie was not knowing about the previous school, and this book was specially about the schools of the previous school, and Margie was interested to know about the school. And They started describing about the previous school and in their generation what was the condition in the school, how the education was going on. And previous school, in the past, the schools were, and the students were getting education in the group, in the classroom. There was a human being who was teaching, taking classes. He was teaching according to the level of the student, but the same topic was taught in the class. But in the future school, means in the generation of the Tommy and Margie, they were having virtual classroom. There was a robotic teacher. That was the difference. And Margie was feeling that previous school was better because they were enjoying, they were having fun in the school among their group, among their same age group children or the kids. Okay, I think you must all have got the chapter. Okay, thank you.